I often say that having the wrong metrics drives the wrong behavior. So if you're tracking the wrong things, or if you're trying to reach for things that you're not going to reach, of course you want it to be important, or you want it to be meaningful. As I'm sure you're familiar with SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. These can be used in, I'm sure, yeah, these can be used in almost any aspect of business, and you've probably seen them, you've probably applied them in other aspects. Not business, but SMART goals is something that is probably heavily, not probably, it's heavily drilled to most people in college. So we're going to look at this from a social media perspective. So if you're talking about specific, your goals have to be, and I'll zoom in a little bit if I can. There we go, perfect. Now we can zoom in a little bit. That's perfect there, I think. No, just a little bit there. Okay, I think that's perfect. Awesome. Your goals have to be both clear and specific to ensure that you have defined direction. Instead of simply getting a vague goal or increase brand awareness, that's usually what people say, I'm just going to increase brand awareness. What does that mean? It's far more effective to have a specific, something specific and measurable. You can state your objective is to increase followers by 10% within a specific amount of time. Or this gives you a clear target to aim for, something that is visible and tangible. So it's got to be specific. Let's look at measurable. A SMART goal must have clear and specific criteria for tracking progress effectively. If it's not measurable, you simply cannot know whether you are making meaningful progress towards achieving your objective. So you've got to be able to measure it. That's why earlier when we spoke about specific, we talked about the 10%. It's exactly the same thing here. You've got to be able to measure it, because if you can't measure it, if you're saying I want to own 10% market share, is that measurable? How are you going to measure that? How about the whole market? How do you size the whole market is? That type of thing. Instead of setting a vague goal like increased brand engagement, you might articulate it more precisely by saying increase the number of likes and comments on Instagram posts by 15% in the next 3 months. That's something more measurable. In the next 3 months, you can then look at what percentage of these posts have been shared. And this is something that you can get on Instagram Insights. This way you set a clear benchmark against which you can assess your efforts and adjust your strategies accordingly. Let's look at attainable. Your goals have to be realistic. You can't say something, I want to get 5 million followers in the next month type of thing, because is that attainable? I mean, if you're Cristiano Ronaldo, it probably is, but if not, you might be aiming for something that's hard to reach. Practical and attainable within a reasonable time frame. It's got to be practical, it's got to be realistic, it's got to be attainable. Setting an ambitious goal to get 1 million new followers in a month might not be truly achievable for a small brand that has started its journey in social media landscape. Consider setting smaller, more manageable goals that gradually build your audience over time. And that's what you should always be looking at. Set something attainable and something that you want to go for. I often say that having the wrong metrics drives the wrong behavior. So if you're tracking the wrong things, or if you're trying to reach for things that you're not going to reach, of course you want it to be important, or you want it to be meaningful. And that leads a perfect segue into the next one, which is relevant. Right? Each specific goal that you establish should closely align and reflect your overall business and marketing strategy. It's got to be relevant, because it's the attainable and the relevant are important. Right? You've got to strike a good balance there, because it needs to be something that you can go for, and still something that you can, that's relevant, right? And that's going to mean something. When setting social media goals, it's crucial to ask yourself how these specific goals tie in with your broader marketing objective and business aspirations. To ensure that your goals are relevant, consider how they directly support your brand's mission and attribute to its growth. Evaluate the impact of each goal or on your audience, on your target audience, and overall business outcomes. Right? By making sure that your social media goals are pertinent to your larger objectives, you can create a more focused strategy that maximizes effectiveness and drives meaningful results to your brand. So you've gotta make sure that you are going for those metrics. Otherwise, you're going to drive the wrong behavior. So last but not least, it's got to be time bound. You notice that the majority of the examples that we've used far, it says increase this by a month, increase this by 3 months. So you've got to have a time specific, even if it's a year, even if it's 5 years, but you've got to have some time attached to it. Otherwise, it's not really a goal, because there is no specific time frame within you are expected to complete it by. SMART goal must have clear and specific criteria for tracking progress effectively. If a goal is not measurable, you simply cannot know whether you're making any real progress towards achieving it. For instance, instead of using a vague statement, increased brand engagement, here again, it comes up often. A more precise approach would be to say increase the average likes and comments on an Instagram post by 15% over the next 3 months. This example, again, you could use it on almost each one of the letters that we've seen far. Lastly, it's crucial to include a specific time frame within the goals to be accomplished. This addition encourages focus and creates a sense of urgency. Rather than merely stating increased sales through Instagram by 30%, a more focused goal would be to add an actual time frame.
Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. Please smash a like on the video and give us a follow.